Nobody I know.
Getting them?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll do my best.
I got a PA system.
Appreciate everybody coming. Sorry that we're a little cramped, but we'll make an adjustment next time. We're kind of popular. We didn't realize our own popularity. So. We've got a quorum, and I know Jackie's on his way, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And first order of business is approval of the minutes. You got a copy here in front of you. If there's any questions, comments? Now I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right. Got a motion second. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, you don't have copies of the minutes and you're not reading the minutes to us?
No.
That's kind of standard.
They'll be posted.
Let's move on to the meeting.
All right, so now we'll take member comments. I'd like to ask you to, when we're calling you, obviously it's a little tough to, I'll try to make sure I see everybody and call them. You have a 2-minute time limit. If you can give your name and address, then we'll hear what you have to say. Steve, you mind? Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
All right. My name's Sherry London. I'm at 216 Harvest Ridge Drive. I have a list of questions. In the event I go over my time limit, I would ask others to continue on the questions. I don't know if you're planning to answer them or if you're just going to hear us and not comment, so let me know. First question is, the 2022 Consumer Confidence Report was not only submitted late to TCEQ, it was inadequate and failed to report results for numerous regulated contaminants. Were these samples not taken, not reported? When will this be corrected? And when are customers going to be assured that our water does not contain regulated contaminants over the regulatory levels? And I've got copies of both of those here. Only disinfection byproducts were tested instead of the whole list of UCMR regulated contaminants. The second question is, what stage of our drought contingency plan includes no outside watering? By my reading, stage 4 also allows hand watering between certain hours. It also requires RCH to deny applications for connections meters or expanded meters till we are out of this stage. Is RCH complying with this and denying new connections? And I'm happy to give you this list of questions when I'm done. Question 3, when was the last time hydrants were flushed? And does RCH have a way to capture and recover the flushed water for irrigation or other non-potable uses? Question number 4, when the city of McLendon-Chisholm tendered an agreement for handover of RCH assets to the city, they were told the board would put it on the ballot for a vote at the members' meeting. Why was this not done? The only thing we vote on was a new board member. And number 5, when are you planning to put out the ballot about Aqua? Will we get to see the agreement? And when you do that, are you planning to also let us vote on whether we would have the city of McLendon-Chisholm or Aqua run the system? Number 6, if RCH sells out to Aqua, how is Aqua planning to meet our water demand? In other areas they serve, there are groundwater production aquifers and wells. However, there are no production quality groundwater aquifers in the county of Rockwall. And further, North Texas Municipal Water will not serve a for-profit investor-owned utility as a direct customer. So where is the water going to come from? Okay, I'm on number 7 if you'd like to continue.
Okay.
Stand up. I'll get it. Say your name and your address.
My name is Tom Ritz. I live at 1305 Somerset Lane in McLendon-Chisholm. Number 7. How is RCH planning to get around Chapter 67 of the Water Code, which governs formation and dissolution of non-profit water supply companies? Also applicable is the Texas Nonprofit Corporation Act, Article 1396, 1.01, etc., Vernon's Texas Civil Statutes. Will the sale of RCH to Aqua require dissolution of RCH WSC? 9. Who is the current Secretary Treasurer of the RCH WSC? Are they bonded as required by the law? And number 10. Where is the financial audit and when will it be made available to members? Thank you.
If you pass this up to them.
Can you respond to some of the questions?
No.
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 So we can't respond, but I have the president's comments where I'll try to address some of these questions the best I can.
Could you speak louder, please? We can't hear you.
I apologize. You may have to remind me of that. We're not responding to the comments, but I do have a president comments where I'll try to answer some of these questions the best I can. All right, yes, sir.
My name is Wayne Davidson, and I live at 1409 Will Circle in Rockwall. And I'm a licensed civil and structural engineer in the state of Texas, as well as 12 other states. I worked on major water supply projects in the 1970s as a construction engineer. I was born in Sacramento County in a town of about 500 people and more than 7 decades ago. I watched that community grow to 87,000 people today. Not only did that town grow, but all the neighboring towns grew, so that Sacramento County now services 1.6 million people for water supply and utilities. My wife and I are residents of Brushy Creek Estates. We are new to Texas, but our move did not increase the water supply demand as the people we bought from moved out of state. So that was a net zero for the RCH. We moved to RCH area in the midst of the small but serious water crisis of midsummer 2022. And it is my understanding that in the year following that crisis, nothing has been done to remedy the underlying cause of the crisis. That is, there has been no increase in the water supply provided by RCH to its service area, which remains capped at about 2.1 million gallons per day. Investigation of RCH water supply source indicates that the water supply is directly purchased from Rockwall City. They in turn purchase it from the North Texas Municipal Water District. And Rockwall's water supply is derived from the Wiley Water Treatment Plant. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
He's calling you for time. Have your wife read more of it.
Okay.
Get 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, is my time up?
Yes.
Yeah, have her continue.
I'd like to submit my full statement for the record.
Let your wife address.
Yeah. Yeah, she can read some of it. Give us another 2 minutes.
I'm
Oh,
Sharon.
I'm sorry. My
Oh,
apologies. Okay.
okay. Sharon Davidson, 1409 Well Circle, McLendon-Chisholm. Where do I start?
That's right down here.
RCH's website indicates that a planned interconnect with Blackland WSC is underway, but there's no target date posted for its completion. It is also understood that RCH is in contract negotiation with the city of Rockwall extensively to increase the supply of water. There is no target increase or completion date posted in the RCH website. The foregoing just details with immediate need and crisis. In the long term, substantially more water supply will be required as the city of McLendon-Chisholm and outlying subdivisions continue to develop. From a cursory review, it appears that Lake, whatever, is the local source for that supply. The land surrounding the lake is largely undeveloped and promises to remain that way for decades. It appears that the service supply consolidation of RCH, Blackland, Poetry WSCs, and Able Spring SUD makes good sense. It is especially logical for Able Spring SUD is currently riparian to the lake. That consolidation would be beneficial to RCH and would also be beneficial to others as well. The city of Rockwall's main water trunk line through which RCH derives its supply must surely be limited, as all pipelines are. That places a limit on the amount of water that may be delivered to our community. At some point, our community will outgrow the limited supply if it's not done so already. Moving our water supply source to the lake will remove the bottleneck delivery through Rockwall supply system. This is Tawakoni.
Tawakoni.
Yeah.
A large service, can you tell I'm new? A large service area of the 4 board of directors should be consolidated to 1. The consolidation would also allow for a full-time employment of a civil engineer who specializes in water resources and its development. I urge the board to seriously consider consolidation with Blackwater, WSD, Poetry, WSD, and Able Spring, SUD. Given the impending transfer, it makes sense to do so now. In the meantime, the interconnect with the Blackland should be given priority. Thank you, gentlemen.
Morning, Kipphut, 31 Fireside Drive. As we all know, the RCH Water Supply Company was formed because farmers needed water and they worked together. Last night at the McLendon-Chisholm Town Hall, it was very apparent the number one talking point was that the citizens and the RCH customers would really like it if RCH Board and McLendon-Chisholm City could get together and try to hash this out before it gets into a catastrophic phase. Thank you.
Mike Easter, 403 Wagon Court. Following along with Lorna's comments. It's my understanding that the city of McLendon-Chisholm sent you guys an interim agreement back in end of May. It was never put on the agenda. There was never disclosure to all the members here. And as a consequence, you guys went out to RFP without even consulting us. And it would seem to be reasonable from a transparency perspective to ask for input. And what I see going on here is a kabuki theater where you guys act like you're listening to us, but no one does anything that we want to do. And so that's very troubling. And where this is going is not going to be helpful for any of us here because it's going to move into litigation if it continues down this pathway. That's just my perspective. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mark?
Mark?
Mark Russo, 1519 Barolo Drive, Aqua Texas. Gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I have concerns with Aqua Texas. I served on Rockwall City Council between 2008 and 2012. We had issues. We actually annexed Lake Rockwall Estates due to the water issues with Aqua Texas. And I have concern that the rates that we're paying now will be tripled. And I have concerns that we just don't have that capacity. We had issues in that past. I don't think they will be. I just concerned for what we are paying now. We don't know what we're paying, and I think that that's going to be difficult. I know you have a difficult issue, but as Newman Laughlin, I believe, many years ago was a founding member of North Texas Water Municipal District. We've had issues in this area for many years. I know that the farming and the lands that you have is what caused this, but again, I think I have concerns when you go for a for-profit corporate entity from a nonprofit. There is concerns there, in my opinion. And I just hope, and I know it's a tough difficulty, but we have problems right now, and I don't know that this is the solution. But again, you're going to make that decision first. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
I just have one question. Kathy Garrison, 1400 Withers Way. And I know you're aware, we haven't had any bills. And I think the problems with all the watering and why we are going down in our tanks is because people are still full watering their entire yard. And you can drive down the subdivision and you can see who's watering the entire yard. People that try to water their foundations, I thoroughly agree with, because we need to protect our foundations. Trees, grass, yes, it's expensive, but the foundations is our most expensive thing. And if they're not receiving bills, then they don't know that they're overusing or how much they're using, and the shock of getting that bill stops people from over-watering. At least it should. Some people will say, well, I can afford to pay that, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. But I don't think it's right to all of us that are trying to meet your criteria in cutting back the water. And that's the only thing that I see that would help some, whether it will or not, I don't know. But I think it needed to be brought to the fact that we just don't get a bill, other than we're reading our meter every day. So when the bill does come in, we can see where it's at, and we've saved up each month for that. But I just felt that we need to know if you can tell us if there's somebody that's out there reading, which I think you said they have, and if we're gonna be getting the bill and when, or how soon, if you know that. Thank you.
Well, Tony Crawford, 104 Lavender Place. The question I have is that from coming to the board meetings, meeting with people at City Hall, understanding where they are and what they've done, it seems like the only people that care about our situation that we're in is City Hall, which we hope that they would. They're our elected officials. We're getting nothing from y'all, nothing. We have no resolve of what this is. Then, from my understanding, City Hall, which I know, can take over tomorrow. And that was at one point was proposed by you to turn it over to City Hall. Why is that not in the picture anymore? If they can take over tomorrow. And I know they can because I've been in on the planning part of it. So again, why aren't y'all taking the stand to actually do something about this instead of selling to a profit company, which can't do anything with the funds you got once you do it? You have to give that to a nonprofit, so what are you going to do there? So again, why aren't y'all taking care of our needs and talking more to City Hall? They tried to, and y'all haven't done it.
Go ahead.
Susan Evans, 2525 Windcrest Drive, High Point Lake Estates. Just curious, it's been several months now that supposedly there's been an audit, forensic audit, or some type of audit going on of the expenditures and things like that of RCH for the last however many years it hasn't been audited. When is that going to be completed and released to the owners who are the RCH owners, basically? I think we all deserve some kind of input as to where the money's gone, or if it's sitting there, why is it sitting there and nothing being done with it? Thank you.
Calvin Langston, 951 Kentwood Drive. I'd just like to know, if you guys are out of water now, why don't you put a moratorium in place to stop all new building? Period. Businesses, residential, it doesn't matter. Unless you're contractually obligated, stop it until you fix the water issues. I've been here 25 years. I'm going to be out about $75,000 to $100,000 in foundation issues because of you guys. Thank you.
I'm Lois Bushnell. I live at 1701 Kipphut Court. And I understand at the meeting last night that if RCH hadn't ticked off Rockwall, we might be getting water now. If that's so, why haven't you tried to fix that problem instead of letting us go without water?
Scott Treff, 199 Pioneer Court. I understand that a lot of this problem is because of a contract you guys signed years ago that kept you at a cap, and you've not been able in almost 10 years to be able to expand that cap. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I do know this is true. As an RCH customer, I've not signed any cap. I have access to as much water as I need. Otherwise, show me something that I signed. So you guys are still letting people put in pools, you're still building, there's no moratorium, but you're telling us you're now on today's agenda, you're saying more restrictions and which possibly brings fines. How can you fine homeowners but then add new customers? It's one or the other.
When are you going to answer some of these questions? You're sitting up there, you're acting like you're not even listening to people, you're not writing anything down.
What's the purpose of these questions if you're not gonna answer them?
Sir, I'm typing these questions and like I said,
You're
I'll
not
answer
typing
them.
as fast as what they're saying. I've been watching.
All right, who else? Yes, ma'am.
Pam Blacketer, 2117 Chisholm Trail in Long Branch. I went to the meeting last night and learned a lot. And I cannot imagine why you would want to add a middleman to this whole process. If McLendon-Chisholm can go directly to Rock, they'll end up going directly to North Texas. Why are we not doing that instead of adding a middleman that's not going to get us what we need? And here we are, we're going to be saddled with the same kind of contract. Don't understand it.
I would like to know why these meetings are.
I'm sorry.
Oh, excuse me, Joan Weiss, the address is 1822 Russo Drive. I would like to know why these meetings are being held at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when there's lots of people that would like to come to this meeting and voice their concerns about these water problems. Last night, I was flabbergasted that the fire chief couldn't open the fire hydrants because they hadn't been properly maintained by you. And how can you not go every 5 years and do the audit and ask for more water or negotiate for that and still be legally our representative? I don't understand it.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Mike Hatcher, 141 South State Highway 205. I want to approach this from a different angle. Like, we're all neighbors, whether we're new neighbors or you've been in the county like I've been 25 years. It doesn't feel like, as you guys being neighbors with us, is selling to a third party, your nonprofit. It's really going to be at our expense. While our service is terrible now, it's just going to get worse if you study this company. Versus like every other city, especially growing cities, they go from some kind of rural water supply to a city-run supply. It's standard operating procedure. We see it across the state. We got gentlemen on the board, family members, got schools named after them. They've been around here a long time. These have been, up until this issue, widely recognized as upstanding members of the community. And this water issue, it's a non-profit. Why are we fighting this fight? It just doesn't make sense to me. From a neighbor, huh? I know, but it doesn't need to be a money solution.
No.
And that's what it's turning into.
I just have one quick question. How many members do you serve, ballpark?
Anybody else? All right. We'll close the open forum and move to the president's report. I'll try to stand up so you hear me. So I appreciate the comments and,
Have you put them on the agenda now so that you can talk about them?
So, sir, I've got a president's comments where now we can talk, and this is the president's comments. So,
Introduction?
sure. So my name is David Naylor. I'm the board president. And just for those of you who don't know, we have Warren Hodges, Steve Hatfield, and then Jackie Pullen. Jackie's our secretary treasurer. Warren is our vice president. So let me address a couple of things here. First, we have about 2,600 meters, sir. And then let me start talking about the building. I will tell you that the building is not coming near as fast as it needs to be. This has been a frustration of mine, and I'd love to have that resolved. Meters have been read. They've actually been read twice. They'll be read again here in, I guess probably towards the end of August. We're trying to move this as quickly as we can. It's unfortunate where we're at, but that's just the reality. We're trying to get that. I'll remind people that the board did approve waiving the late fees, recognizing this is not anybody's fault. This is working through it. The average bill, we'll see where that comes in, but it looks like it's around $100 to $200 on average.
That's because we have no water.
So, water restrictions, then, let me jump to those. We are currently in stage 2.
Stage 2?
However, when our water tank starts getting low, we have to do what we need to do to ensure that we don't run out of water. Hence, we went to the outdoor watering ban. It's not what we want to do, but nobody wants to run out of water. And so we made that call based on the recommendation of the folks that are operating our system and based on our engineering. So we can jump through all the hoops and move through the different stages, but at the end of the day, we have to do what we need to do to keep the water flowing. To the question about handing out new meters, let me just tell you, first off, we are not handing out any new meters. Even those meters that we have promised and said we will serve, we are even telling those people, you can't have your meters today. So we'll get those meters at some point because we have that obligation, but it's not going to be while we're sitting here in these.
So you have a moratorium in place?
We have a moratorium in place.
For TCQ, you don't?
Well, I just tell you, we're not handing out meters.
Good.
So we're trying to do that. On the agenda today is water restrictions to actually even put restrictor flows on folks for violations. So in addition to the fines, we have something else that we can do. We want people to be able to water their foundations. I mean, we all know what the blackland soil is like. We've got to be able to do that. We've got to have cooperation amongst the system to be able to do that. We would like to get back to watering twice a week where we were before, but if we don't have people that will comply with those twice a week requirements like we had, then we're forced to jump into the situation that we're in. We have had conversations with Rockwall, and I will tell you, Rockwall will not increase that cap. Those conversations have been ongoing, and we're continuing to work through that, but it really doesn't matter. They will not increase that cap.
Why?
They need it for their customers.
They need it for theirs, and then also based on where we take water off of their system, if we start getting too much more than 2.1, that starts to impair their system. So they've made that pretty well known. I was elected to the board back in end of March, and I had those conversations with Rockwall from that day, and I've had several meetings with Mary Smith as we've gone on. We do have the interconnect with Blackland that we've been trying to work through that would give us some emergency relief in this situation. I understand what was said last night. It is not illegal, contrary to what was said last night. It does require amending of contracts, but that doesn't make it illegal. The holdup is Blackland. Blackland does have some hoops they need to jump through. North Texas has to be involved, but at the end of the day, I've had conversations with North Texas, and that's not an issue. It just has to go through their process. Unfortunately, what that means is it will not be in place by this summer. So we're trying to do what we can in the short term to resolve these issues. Unfortunately, that's just we are where we are, and we're working to do what we can. We need cooperations, and we're working with that. As far as the Aqua acquisition, Aqua is we have signed an operation agreement with Aqua, so they are actually maintaining the system now, and so they are able to assist us now in terms of working and handling the folks who are violating the drought contingency plan and the water restrictions, but then also they're making the calls too. So I know some folks have had some leaks and they sent folks out. So you'll see their trucks in the area. We are still negotiating the asset purchase agreement. So that has not been in place, but we are working towards that. I know there's some questions about whether RCH can be sold to Aqua or not. I'll just tell you what our attorneys tell us is that it can be. Now, let me tell you,
What happens to the assets?
Let me tell you two things about that. First off, whatever money is received for the sale, that's the members' money. It's your money. It goes back to the members. So that's where that money will go. The members do get to vote. So you will get to vote. The way that it'll work is once we have negotiated the asset purchase agreement, a vote will then be submitted to y'all, and it will, like I said, it'll be in y'all's hands as to whether it's approved or not.
If they're a for-profit.
I'm sorry, sir, this is not the time for member comments anymore. The way that this will work is an up or down vote. So that's the way that the rules require us, is you're voting for or against. If the answer is no, then we'll proceed with Plan B, C, whatever number we're on. But that's the way that process will work. Financial audit. I don't know why it's taken so long. And so I do have a meeting with the auditor on Friday to see where things stand. Once we have that audit, I mean, it'll be made available, but I don't have a good answer for you other than it's in Robert Lake's court. So he's doing what he needs to do, and as soon as we have it, we'll get that. But it is unacceptable that it's taken this long, and I tend to find out why on Friday. So with that, then that's all my president's report, and move on to the rest of the meeting. Next on the agenda is the water update on water restrictions, and there's on the last page of your copy, there's this update on and it's proposed addendum to the water restrictions for enforcement. And so what this allows to do is, in addition to the fines, allows us to put on a restrictor device such that individual home, after a warning, will have that restrictor device placed on their service. If any questions?
Can you read it for us?
I can't hear, I'm sorry, there's too many people talking.
If there's not any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the addendum.
I'll make that motion.
Can we hear it? Will it be posted on the website so we can even see what you just voted on?
It'll be posted. Oh, Jack, okay. All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Do we need also, as part of this, because Aqua is operating the system on our behalf, we need to designate that Aqua has that authority as our agent under the drought contingency plan. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to designate Aqua as our designate and authorize Aqua to act on our behalf.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Will we be notified in advance of that vote? So everybody can vote? Because we've had votes before and nobody knew about it.
So this is,
I'm sorry,
so with
I
that,
don't mean to interrupt, but come on.
sir, I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
We all want to.
Yeah, we all want to vote. Because we all want to vote.
I'm sorry. So with that, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but we're trying to conduct a meeting here, and if you disagree with it, I apologize, but we're trying to conduct an orderly meeting, and if this would be a problem, then I'm going to have to ask y'all to leave. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hill.
Yes. Can everybody hear me or want me to come to the front?
Come in the front.
Is there a bullet?
Yeah, why isn't the agreement on this agenda? It's not.
Okay, so, yes, I work for a for-profit company.
That means
Let me
we
tell
will be
you-
at,
Let me just finish and then
Okay.
I'll take questions. So I was council member and mayor in my city. And when my term with mayor was over, I joined Aqua. Now, yes, it was a disaster, the rock wall development. Our company got into Texas by buying muds all over the state. Some were like this, they were in great shape. Others were not. But I can tell you, Mark, for every one that you can find that has not gone well with us, I can find you 20 cities that would be in the same position. That's what I would tell you. The biggest disasters that have made national news are not privately owned systems. It's City of Houston, 2 million boil water notes last year. You know, we know about Flint, we know about Jackson, Mississippi, but I can tell you today, my city is on stage 3 water restrictions, despite we spent $110 million in the last 3 years. Look, water is not a good situation in Texas right now. We're bringing too many people and we don't have the resources. But just because it's a city versus a private, in fact, I can make a very compelling argument with evidence that it shouldn't be on a city. And what I do is work with cities across Texas. I can give you a list of cities, but don't believe me. All you got to do is go on the Texas Water Development Board's website. Look up the amount of cities that are asking for money and how much they're asking for. The state of Texas is going to allocate $3 billion for water infrastructure. It's going to scratch the surface. It's not going to answer what the state needs. The state recognizes that. The state has made it easier for private companies like ours to come in and work with cities to address the shortfall. It's not a bad thing. These public-private partnerships are the answer to many things, not just water utilities. But look, I mean, we don't have electricity provided by very many cities in the state anymore. Used to be. We don't have gas provided by very many cities. It used to be. Cities got out of this because they're not good at running utilities. That's all there is to it. I defy anyone in this room to show me a city that is making money off their utilities. Show it to me. I mean,
They shouldn't be. It's a service. They should be covering their costs.
Non-profit. They should be.
Non-profit.
That's what nonprofit means.
Exactly.
I mean balancing the budget. I can show you the utility debt on most cities. I look at budgets every single day. So the cities have to balance the general revenues, the general ledger. They don't have to balance the utility or enterprise fund. Nobody is making money on utilities long term. They're not.
So why are y'all in business?
But if you
We
take,
are in it. Let me give you an example of what we've done since we signed the agreement. So pump number 3 at your facilities required a person to be there to kick on. That's why you ran out of water last year. Nobody was there at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever time, and the tower drained. That triggers a boil water notice. It's not a good thing, right? We have already addressed that. We have hooked up an automatic switch that will roll over and kick on automatically. All right? That's in 2 weeks. That would have taken a city probably 6 months through the RFP process, through, looking at different bids, talking to vendors. I'm telling you, you can do what you want. Just look around.
are you going to guarantee that you're not going to artificially hike up our rates
Absolutely.
because
First of all-
that's what for-profit means. And we don't have any choice in there. You
So-
can hike it as much as you want, and we can't say anything.
Actually, you know what? You made a great point for why you should go to a private utility. Well, first of all, we've said we will adopt your rates till at least the end of 2027.
Yeah.
And put it in writing, okay? Second of all, if
Does that
we
include
did want...
surcharges?
Yes, absolutely.
No surcharges?
No surcharges.
Guaranteed?
Today, we're running the system for free. This for-profit
your
company
your
is running
company,
it.
wait a minute, your company uses surcharges above the established rates, regulatory lag. I just point anybody to the annual report on the financial section will clearly explain
We
that.
would adopt the current
So our
rate
rates will
structure.
stay frozen
Absolutely.
through 27.
Absolutely.
No surcharges.
I don't know what surcharges there would be, but
Peace.
we've said it's not going to change, okay? After 2027, because what we've said is we'll spend $12 million over the next 10 years.
Is this all going to be in writing?
Absolutely.
So that everyone can see?
Absolutely.
Before we vote.
We've said we'll spend $12 million over 10 years. Now, whether it's a city or whether it's a private company, the only way to recover that money that you spend is through rates. Whether it's a city or not. But here's the difference. If any city spends $12 million, they're going to raise rates whether you like it or not. And there's nobody that's going to stop them. But if a private company wants to raise rates, PUC, we have to go to the PUC. And the PUC is your advocate. They're not an advocate for private companies. You have to back up any request with why and exactly what you're wanting to do. It is absolutely a reason why private companies, I mean, you can look at other cities. You don't have to take my word for it.
We can vote them out.
Hang on one second. Okay, so automatic rollover switch. Again, we brought our people in. Our agreement says we're going to run this for free. So look, if you decide this isn't something you want to do, then we're out of money. But that's okay, right? So it's not always only about profit. Maybe some people can do it for less. I can tell you one thing. In my city, we had a $12 million hiccup on concrete on building a water plant. That was a city. I can tell you cities all over the state that have screwed up, not done it right, overspent, spent it on the wrong thing. We believe that we can build and operate systems for about 20% less. We buy thousands of water meters. One of the things they're going to vote on tonight is new water meters. We've already secured a company. They don't have to have manual reads. Somebody drives through the neighborhood and it's done automatically. So again, this happened in 2 weeks. We're reconstructing a billing system. We should have bills out probably by 9/1. We had to do that from scratch. No information was given to us. And we're having our people do this and try to reconstruct something that should have been there. Hang on one second. I'll have, when I'm done, I promise I'll take questions. I'll take questions. Okay, so it does come down to water supply, right?
Yes.
So I've already had talks with officials from other entities. There is a long-term solution to that. We can address it. We can address it very quickly. Now, is it going to help us this summer? I don't think so. And I don't care who you choose to go with. This summer is going to be what it is. Rockwall, whether they, you know, they're intent on maintaining that 2.1 no matter who owns the system. Absolutely. So there are other entities. We need an interconnect with Blackland. That's what the system needs. There have been outside forces that have slowed that down, that are not working in the best interest of you getting water.
We've also talked to other water supply
Such
companies about
as?
interconnections. All right, so long-term, look, if the needs are, 3 million gallons a day, what makes the most sense is not to have all your eggs in one basket, but to have multiple sources. Because if you only have one source, and we're in this kind of drought, they're going to ration everybody's usage. If you've got multiple sources, then even though you get hit over here, you've got ability here to help out in emergency situations. It is a much better plan. Our company does a lot of groundwater. We can drill wells. We've already had talks with the hydrologists.
Not in Rockwall.
Not in Rockwall
It's not
County.
a production aquifer here.
It's all clay.
And I'm a geologist.
Okay.
So prove me wrong.
Well, I will have you contact our hydrologist and you can have a conversation with
I would love
them.
that conversation.
Because what they're saying is, it's there, you gotta go deeper, you gotta treat it. Those are things that we can do. It's much cheaper to interconnect to other sources and get the water and have surface water. You don't have to blend it. It is a better situation. Long term, that's the plan. But if we have to, and if there was water available underground, we need to verify it with our geologists and our hydrologists. But if there is water that we can get to cost effectively, I mean, you can't just drill the China to work, but we would like to do that. So let's see what else. I'm going to introduce our operations people, but I will take a couple of questions before you had your hand up first.
Look,
Yeah. Oh, him back there.
I think it would be fair to say that everything you said
Sounds good.
makes more sense than what we're dealing with today. Okay? I don't think it'd be hard to show an improvement pretty quick. I think that's pretty easy. But the concern I would have is I keep hearing about this relationship between Aqua and Rockwall, which, let's face it, we live in Rockwall County, and we have to be able to have a relationship with the city of Rockwall. Okay, that's one. Two, you mentioned spending $12 million over what period of time frame did you say? 10 years. Look, you and I both know, that's not a lot of money in the whole scheme of things.
No.
Now, do you have the ability to raise additional funds, either private equity or sell bonds or something, to get some water towers up around here and increase the capacity for these additions that are going up so our water pressure doesn't suffer?
The water tower is on our capital pro forma for the next 10 years, so yes.
Okay, so you go above, the $12 million ain't gonna do it, you know that. Can you raise additional funds quickly?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Well, hey, like I said, short of your, and I don't know, it's hearsay, short of your relationship with the city of Rockwall,
Well,
I don't think it'd be hard to show an improvement of what we got today.
I've already met with the city manager twice, and she's a wonderful lady. I think she has everyone's best interests at heart. She apologized for the fact that, the area ran out of water last year. I know that doesn't do any good, but she is sensitive to that not happening again. That being said, there are some issues with the area of the RCH take point that reduces the pressure for everything around it. The Blackland take point is a better option going forward, which, by the way, is the better option to get water ultimately. So, I mean, those are things that, as far as the relationship, we have signaled to them that we want to be a good neighbor. There are some things where we can work with them on some areas within the city that don't have any RCH customers, but they would like to roll under their CCN and them service them. Okay, great. Okay, so how do we work together? Because, look, ultimately, There's a lot of people that need to stop throwing stones and start trying to come up with solutions. And look, whatever you guys choose to do, that has to happen. I would just look at qualifications long and hard. You can't just get into the water business tomorrow. I'm sorry, it doesn't happen. The expertise that exists within our company far exceeds. I mean, I can show you an article today on my phone about Georgetown, Texas. Fastest growing city in the country. What's it about? They don't have any water. My city was fastest growing in 2019. We have water problems. Look, it is the expertise, in my opinion, is better on the private side.
Do you want to address the article that talks about your company?
What's that?
There's several articles that have numerous complaints from customers, from government entities, things like that. You can look it up on the internet.
Sure.
You can see it.
I can address that. I can tell you outside of my city, my wife and I went to a Christmas party. Our company had bought a mud that was rolling over from the developer, and guess what? They didn't have any water. And I'm like, do not tell anybody at all that I work for Aqua at this Christmas party. The point is, we ended up reconditioning that well. They have water today, and it works fine. Does it happen overnight? No. Here's the difference, though. You can look up the city of Houston. Where are you looking up the complaints for 2 million people boil water needs? It's not.
You put in Aqua and it explodes.
We buy muds that are in terrible condition. And I think your RCH engineer would back that up. He's an engineer that we've hired in the past in East Texas. That's how we got into Texas. Look, even the systems, even the city systems we want to buy, they're distressed systems. But I will tell you, we also have TCQ that calls us and says, would you take over this system? Would you take over that system? So you got to look at the fact that we run thousands of systems.
But you said something about tying into Blackland. Have you read their statement? About they're not doing that.
Long term, they want to be a regional water supplier. Again, long term, Blackland would be the easiest interconnect to North Texas.
But they're not going to do it. They're stating right now unequivocally they will not do that.
Maybe if they didn't have outside pressure, they might.
See, that's their company, though.
It is their company.
Yeah.
They're not the only option.
Yeah. But they have to service their customers, not us.
I mean, look, they have limited water supply today, just like everybody else. But long term, they also want to be a regional supplier. If you're a regional supplier, you want customers. Look, even for municipalities, our city sold water to neighboring cities. Rockwell sells water. They don't pass that through their system for nothing. It's a business for them. It's additional revenue that pays for other infrastructure. They don't do it for nothing. Come on.
Nobody does.
We act like just because we're a for-profit, there's no difference. The city, can you go hook up to a city system today in Rockwell for nothing? No, there's a developer fee. It contributes probably 10% of their revenues. What's the difference? What's the difference? No. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been reading. The guy in the black shirt, I can't remember his name, he said that there's going to be a restriction on meters and fines. Well, what about the builders who have empty houses and they're watering their yards, their grass?
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you.
Are they going to get restrictions and?
What about people that have livestock
So,
that they're
You're
taking
asking-
care of versus the regular households?
I understand. You're asking questions that still it's under RCH's authority to do. So,
But y'all are going to be doing going around checking.
Look, I've already started reaching out to HOAs. The very first thing to do is get the HOAs to curtail watering of the medians. That is the first thing to do. But I saw today, houses right down the road, I mean, people with acre lots, and they're green, they're bright green, and I'm telling you,
Where my septic system is.
we have to cut that out. I don't care who you go. That's got, I mean, it needs to be cut. You need to
Until
water the
when?
area.
Until when? When is it gonna be resolved?
Through the summer, once the usage starts curtailing, then that
What about
will
next
take
summer?
care of part
What
of the
about
problem.
next summer and the summer after that? This
That's
sounds
why
to
we
me
need-
like more of
We
an
can water our
ongoing
lawns.
curb your usage forever regardless of water.
I just gave you what options there are. The option is to find additional water. That means that you take it from anybody that will offer, right? You can take it from a water supply corporation, a city, you can take it from wherever you can get it. That is the long-term solution. And honestly, it looks promising. In the last few days, I can tell you, it looks extremely promising.
I have a question.
Again, is it gonna happen tomorrow? No.
So you've mentioned multiple times about interconnecting into different cities, or drilling a well, but you never once mentioned going direct to North Texas Municipal. Does your taking over the company as a private entity limit your ability to go direct to North Texas?
No, they would probably want to sell it for somebody else, but.
We couldn't go direct.
They couldn't sell it to you. They can't sell
They
it
can't sell it
to
to you.
for-profit company.
I've been waiting a long time.
Yeah.
There is ways to get it, I can assure you.
Through a third party.
That there are
won't
ways
sell it to free.
of RCH. I can't comment on that. All I can tell you is, look, the plan is to go direct to North Texas.
You can't. They won't sell it to an investor-owned utility.
I would have brought the
Not
policy,
us.
I would have brought the policy manual page so you could read it,
Yeah.
if I known you want to address it. But the bottom line is, you cannot buy from North Texas. So we end up in the same spot we're in today, which is a second-tier buyer. We buy from Rockwall, or buy from North Texas. Rockwall chokes us off. We will be in the exact same position because you cannot buy from North Texas. Now, I'll shut up, you can address it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I'm not sure I get that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Look, I mean, I'm sitting here being recorded, and I can't, we don't own the system today. I cannot go into areas that pertain to the negotiations for the APM.
And there you have it.
And that
But we have to vote on it, so good luck,
Yeah,
everyone.
there you go.
it's
Can I-
all gonna come out.
Can I just ask
You
your
may be able
title?
to see it on our face.
Sorry, I may have missed it, but what's your function within Aqua? I know you were going to go into introductions in a second, but I may have missed that.
I work with municipalities,
Mhm.
actually.
But within
Acquiring
office,
systems.
Okay,
So I
Business
work
development?
as a I work with cities.
so business development?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, my hand has been up for 5
Yes,
minutes.
ma'am.
You said that our rates will be frozen until 2027. How do our current rates compare to the rates that you charge elsewhere? Are they lower or are they higher?
Well, we negotiate, when we do a municipal acquisition, we negotiate those rates with the city. So they're different in different parts of the state. We have consolidated rates, for example, in North Texas. So I haven't compared the two. They would probably be really comparable. Consolidated rates are really, consolidated
Someone did a
rates.
comparison and posted it on Facebook for us, and actually, the rates that we pay now are higher, so I can understand why you would want to freeze those.
Look, if it made more sense, you could go on consolidated rates, right? So really,
But I think everyone's here is assuming that our rates are lower, but that may not be the case.
It isn't.
so here's the difference. With consolidated rates, it's really good when you gotta spend a lot of money on capital. Because what you're doing is, if everybody pays one price, you're getting everybody else to help pay for your infrastructure, right? So it can be a really good thing. they tend to be higher than normal. So usually, I think there may be a better solution, you know, negotiating the rates directly. But what we have said is that we would take on the rates that you currently have through the end of 2027. And then I think it really depends. I mean, look, there's a lot of things at play. I mean, we're hearing things about roads and, you know, you got to move pipes. And, I mean, that's a long time. A lot can happen. But I haven't compared the two. We just, we said we would adopt your rates because that gives you a sense of stability and lets you know we're not coming in to raise your rates right away. So
Right away.
I have
coming in to raise your rates, period.
Yeah, I've had my hand up forever.
Okay.
Okay. We need a long-term solution. And it doesn't take a genius to see that Lake Tawakoni, is it? Tawakoni. Okay. Anyway, that lake is the source. There's too much development to go through Heath. It's too expensive to go to the lake over there. You can't take it through Rockwell. So you got to go over to this lake over toward east of us. And anyway, in terms of long-term solution, and it's going to have to be a big pipeline to serve the long term. We're probably going to have to look at a 48-inch diameter pipe. I've gone through this before. I worked on federal water development projects. I worked on state development projects. I worked on local subdivision water development projects. Anyway, and that is the solution long term. Have anybody looked to that for a long-term solution?
It's been 3 weeks. Not yet. But all options are going to be looked at. I can tell you, and I'm going to have people talk about the operations in a little while, there's a lot of expertise in the room. Look, just having gone through that in my city, I can tell you it always makes more sense when you work regionally with other people, whether that's cities, water supply companies. We have access to capital that maybe some of those people don't have. It would be beneficial to them in some instances to do a partnership where we share the cost for pipes and things like that, and then you spread that out amongst us all, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking of in my statement about the consolidation between the 4 water supply entities that are here, between here and Lake Tawakoni. Anyway,
You'll get it.
If you consolidate those, one of them is riparian to Lake Tawakoni. Because they're riparian, they don't have to go through the same process that we have to go through. So basically it makes sense to consolidate the 4 entities and then draw water from that lake to solve the problems here.
You know, like this is the problem with cities, quite frankly. Everybody gets in their silo and they think, oh, we can do it all out by ourselves. It makes more sense when you join together because it is a regional problem. So yes, you can go out a little bit further if you have help to do it. No matter if you're a city or a company like ours or a water supply corp, it makes sense to work together because it is. Look, there's only one supplier mainly for this whole area. I mean, that's not a good place to be. I hate to tell you. It may be a great supplier, but honestly, I mean, we're in a drought. We're in an extended drought. There's not enough for everybody. I mean, and look, we can't just approve, you know, a 1,700 home development without looking at the water first.
They do it.
You know,
They did
that. Did they?
Yeah, they did.
A part of that is, you know, we should mandate zero scaping. You know, why are we sprinkling
Zero buildings?
Yeah.
You know, well, there's certain things you can do. I mean, that's another topic, but you know, there's certain things you can do within the developments that you are having to try to lower potable water usage. Like, I'm a big believer in reuse, and I know everybody out here is on septics. But, you know, for developments that have a sewer system, look, I mean, new developments should absolutely require developers to put in a purple pipe and then, or purple meter, and have, every house should have 2 meters. These are long, if you want to talk about long-term solutions, it's got to be about saving the available water, because we don't look like we're going to get an extended amount of rainfall, and it's this way every year. So what is the answer? Well, I can tell you the city around me, or Round Rock, cut their potable water usage by 20% with reuse. That's a huge percentage. So then you start really cutting into those numbers, and that is the answer. So look, finding additional sources, conservation, and thinking outside the box, quite frankly, those are things that we're going to have to do. If we, as a community, as a region, as a state, because otherwise, I mean, there are cities today that are about to start putting treated effluent back into the water supply. And that's not a good look. Everybody drink Miller Lite. Sorry. So anyway,
I got a really simple, quick question. So you said no rate increases till 27, and a 10-year capex of $12 million. Is that going to go up? Because if not, we're looking at the same problem for the next 10 years.
you mean the 10 years after that?
The $12 million investment over 10 years is going to get us nothing. So rate increase or not for till 2027, we're going to be in the same situation if all you're going to invest is $12 million. Are you going to invest more than $12 million in your capex to fix our problem?
If we need to. Absolutely.
What do you mean if you need to? Of course you need to.
I mean,
$1 million a year.
And just so everybody else knows, Pewaukee is 90% owned by Dallas.
Yep.
The city of Dallas, I own on that lake. So just because you think you can tap Pewaukee, good luck.
I never
City of Dallas owns 90%.
I never said that was the answer.
I know. I'm just informing our fellow citizens that sounds great, but I can tell you, easier said than done. And now there are two new municipality lakes going in. One is being filled up now in Bonham, but it's going to feed North Dallas. And then there's another one north of Ladonia, between Ladonia and Honey Grove, that's going to actually subsidize Dallas. But they haven't even finished eminent domain, so we're looking at another 10 years for it to fill up. That's on Honey Creek.
Okay, so I do have people that want to give a report on what they've done so far.
That's fine. I just had
So
that.
I have a really,
Basically.
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I have a simple question, but I want to first, the new boat arc lake, North Texas has now got over $500 million in investing to be able to start bringing water down this direction.
That's the one by Bonham.
Yes,
right.
that's the new lake, right. So then my question is very simple, yes, no. Have you met with the city of McLendon-Chisholm, you, or an Aqua representative?
I would love to tomorrow. You
Okay.
busy?
She's the mayor.
So the answer is
Mayor
no,
Pro
you
Tem.
have not, right?
We've made outreach, absolutely.
In what way did you make outreach?
Like, I'm not going to.
Okay, so let me help you
So you
out.
can't
because
prove it.
You're from down in the, I get my moment. Let me help you out. You're from down in the People's Republic of Boston, and God bless you. This is Rockwell County. We live here on interlocal agreements. That's a norm. The problem you have is your Trust Me card ain't worth anything because these guys have so gooned this thing up for the last X number of years. Take your pick. I'll put it at least a decade of a lack of investment that did not, and the fact you just heard, the number of taps is far over what the contractual number of taps they are supposed to have with the city of Rockwell. So the system is increased, service is decreased, and we're all here unhappy about that today. Now, if you can fix that, you'll be the best hero around this place. But I'm gonna give you a little tip. You said stop throwing rocks. Your quote, not mine. Yeah, I would recommend you stop throwing rocks. Stop throwing them at the city of McLendon-Chisholm and other people that are working this, to include, if this locker between Blackland and RCH works out great. But when I hear outside pressure, that, I'm not sure what that means, because that's the relationship between two companies and North Texas Water. So, you know, that's just my advice to you, because we live on interlocal agreements here. Fire, interlocal agreements, that's how we do things here. So we're used to working together between our communities. As a new member to the community, I'm just giving you a little tip for success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And look, I completely agree. Look, we don't have a history here with this system. You know, we want to be good neighbors. We told that to the city of Rockwall. We would say the same thing to the city of Chisholm. We'd say the same thing to the city of Heath. We want to be good neighbors, right? And there are a lot of benefits to each of them to do that, right? So yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we want. And at some point, I believe, hopefully, that will happen. I'll do it tomorrow. I believe that it would be a benefit.
Call the mayor, I have his number.
To
You
this,
see me, I'll give it to you. Call him.
well, if you get him on the line after this,
I'll happily do that.
But look, I can tell you ways that we could be a great neighbor for the city of Chisholm. Number one, again, I talked earlier about cities and about the amount of debt that we're piling up. I mean, if you got somebody else addressing all the future growth you have without spending any money yourself and having to take out utility debt that's backed up by taxpayer debt, that is a great thing. I've got a city outside of Houston that's $400 million in debt. That was one of the fastest growing cities in Texas, and that's a great example of why that makes sense. So we could be that company for not only Chisholm, but for Heath and some other cities here. So I believe, and we will work closely, we would not approve any more new developments that the city did not want to do. And if the city wants to work with us on, you know, any new development, maybe need to annex into the city, and we're absolutely open. You know, we would do that. And so I think there is a relationship there that going forward that would be mutually beneficial to both sides. Again, long term, it makes more sense. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little confused, so I hope you can clarify this. You're talking about spending money, you know, $500 million here, you know, doing all this stuff, making everything all right, but not raising our rates until 2027. So my question is, where is the money coming that's doing that? Because then you're also saying that you're working with this community and that community, and you're doing things for them. Where is this money coming from that you're using? How do you get your money?
Because we are a privately owned, investor-owned utility. It is by investors, small and large. But we have access, we have a market cap of almost $13 billion. We have revenues of $1.5 billion today. Utilities, especially in an environment where the stock market's going up and down, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. Utilities are seen as a safe play, right? Because, you know, for instance, cities, you know, don't go out of business. City debt's a good long-term strategy too, right? You know, so cities get funded by debt from the market as well. So it's investors. But
and
the difference
know
is...
that you're just spending, and not taking anything.
Absolutely. Look, a private company gets paid on the investments they make, right?
So what investments
I
are they
can,
making?
buying systems, building a new water tower, you know, we may end up having to lay additional
So you get money from that water tower after you put it in?
From us, from its customers. That's its revenue.
Yeah.
It's customers.
It's customers.
Yes.
Right.
New subdivision.
So where did the 12 million come from? If you got 13 billion, you're only allocated 12 million over 10 years. What the hell's going on? I mean, seriously.
We had our engineer, they came out, they
And
did
they
it
said
on
that
site.
will get us to where we need to be now? Or are you looking at 10 years down the road? Because that's not
Look,
even
I mean,
close.
4 million.
Unfortunately, the solution right now is a political solution.
Oh, absolutely.
So, whatever happens, that's gonna have to work itself out. But there are options, obviously, of other suppliers in the area that want to, look, they're in the water business. They want customers.
So you're willing to invest more money, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's
Even
what
though
it
you
takes.
said 12 over 10.
That's what our pro forma shows today. That does not mean that we don't have to spend more once we own.
12 million is not going to get you where you need to be today.
Yeah, the system for the customers that it has today, the system's in good shape operationally.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our area manager, Daryl. And Daryl is going to kind of take it from here. I'll be back after I run away as fast as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this short time. I'll try and be brief. My name is Daryl Weldon. I'm area manager with Aqua Texas. I've been here a number of years. I want to introduce some of our staff. Joseph McDaniel.
Okay.
There you are. I couldn't see from around here. This is Joseph McDaniel. He's the field supervisor, and he's over this area. He's been attending to your plant the last couple of weeks in person. He's got 16 years experience with us. He's a licensed operator, and I'll let you provide some comments on operations, please, Joseph.
So, the biggest issue they said is the 2.1 mil. And trying to fluctuate the tanks to keep them level was the hardest issue. So a week and a half, we took over on Monday. My wife was beating me on Thursday. So I had to get that third booster pump set up on automatic because I was coming out at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, turning up. And that wasn't happening. We got that fixed. We've got some SCADA that we presented to the board so that they could look at it. We can operate things by hand. And everything's sound as the plant goes. As y'all know, capacity is the issue. And the biggest issue we've got. I found that out in 8 days real quick. So I'm not gonna sit here and talk. I did sit amongst y'all because I will be the one out in the field amongst y'all. So if y'all have any questions about out in the field or any issues, you'll see me or some of my staff out there. Thank you.
Joseph has a field staff that are currently looking over the system. He may get some help from a contractor just to cover the bases. That's still pending, but he's got 2 operators that are in the field. I'm going to introduce some other people on our team. Mark Koshin. Can you come on forward, Mark? Mark Koshin is field supervisor over our Waco area. And Terry Whitley, this is Terry Whitley. She is in our Waco office, administrative assistant. They've both been with the company for over 25 years. The reason they're here from Waco is that we run 2 water supply corporations out of our Waco office, and we do billing. And so the goal here is that we're going to take their expertise, Terry and Mark's, and apply it for y'all. We've taken steps. We haven't had long to get our arms wrapped around this. We're getting license agreement from a billing system called RBS. We've got some data, and we are challenged with the goal of getting you what we call the catch-up bill out by September 1st. And it'll try and take you from the last bill that you've got up to a current meter reading, pretty current meter reading. And so there's going to be some eyebrows raised probably, because anytime you bulk bill people for the summer, there's shock signals going on. Terry will be taking your calls. All right? we love Terry, we really do. But she and another employee will be taking your calls in Waco because they will be performing all the billing work, processing payments, doing that type of thing. So that's quick and cover the area. There's only one other area that we're just launched into, and that's the meter exchange program. So we've got to go with a meter, and then we'll do a drive-by to read the meters. Until then, we're still going to have to do manual reads and input the reads to the system. When we get it set up, otherwise we'll be punching them in or reading them with a band. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Yes.
Will your company start looking at the water quality? Is that going to be under your purview?
Yes. Every day.
Contamination?
Every day. Joseph will be looking at that every day. We have to take bacteriologicals every month and make sure that they are negative with bacteria, all right, so that they're good for you to drink.
Is that reported to, how will we see that information?
You generally don't.
TCQ gets it.
The only time you kind of, in the water business, the only time you see something is when it goes wrong. And so, if you don't see anything, the water's good to drink. And we're launching also other things that the TCEQ require, such as lead copper samples. We've got to get caught up on that. We have a compliance manager, and he just watches over all the compliance things with the TCEQ, Public Utility Commission for. Yes.
Regarding the billing, it was mentioned earlier that no records were turned over from the old billing company. So how do you know, how can the meters be accurately read? And how do you know what our last usage reading was? How do you know how to accurately charge us for the last few months?
We've got some data. All right. We haven't got through it all yet. I really can't answer your question and tell you what we have got and what we haven't got. But we have some data. For example, we have all your names and addresses. That's a good start. We don't have to start with you don't have names and addresses, you're in trouble. So we have names and addresses. I believe we have a pretty good list of current meter readings. Right?
Okay,
And we're in contact.
current meetings, but how do you know what it was back in April or whenever the last?
The data we get, we're gonna have to trust. We're ultimately gonna get some data. Now, and quite honestly, we're gonna realize we're starting at nothing. And so we're gonna have to build it. When you get your bill, I'm hoping that you will compare it to the last one you got back a couple of months ago, and then call us if we're wrong. And
I can just see that's a real recipe for way underestimating,
well, there's no estimation. There's no estimation. Billing based on meter reading. Shouldn't be any estimation. I believe we're going to find out. One way or another, we're going to find out. But please, when you get your first bill, what I call the catch-up bill, check that beginning read with your ending read on the last bill, please. Yes,
The last 2 weeks, 1 week they came by and I heard from the neighbors that they were reading the meters. Then they came by the next week and reading the meters. I don't have Facebook. I don't have all this media stuff. And I didn't know. I thought we were on 2-day watering. And then all of a sudden when my friends said, oh, you know, we can't water anymore. And I said, what? So, I mean, are you basing this on this 2-week meter reading? I mean, and we don't get the information. So you can see where we feel that we can't trust anybody. Because we need information in writing. We need to see what's being proposed. We need to see it in writing, and it needs to be available to everyone. You have our addresses and our names. I request that you send it to everyone so that we can see, so we can make an intelligent decision.
So I don't know anything about the two-week cycle. Our intent is not to do 2-week cycles, to do monthly cycles once we get it going. Subsequent to the catch-up bill, we will get on a monthly cycle.
I don't know how to get it based on bill.
That's what we got to work at. We got to work at it.
On the RCH website, you can sign up for alerts and they'll
I did that last
When you get water.
Yeah, I found that out
That's about
last
it.
night.
Which should be drought stage 5, but yes, it's stage 2.
Water usage that they're seeing is that where they put the restrictions, okay, we're getting low, so we have to go into 2 or 3 or 4.
The restrictions would totally slow the big number down.
Right, what's
coming
in
out of
this
the tank. Yeah.
That's right.
So we don't have any idea whether customer A used a lot of water or customer B used a lot of water
So
today.
it's all based on the tanks.
Yeah, we just know, if we added up everybody, the tank was getting low. Yes, ma'am.
System for notifying all the customers of, say, water outage or when the water comes back, notify them that water is good.
Yes, we do.
Because right now, it seems like you only get that information if you're smart enough to subscribe to it. But not everybody's.
Not everybody has a computer, not
So I
everybody
didn't
has
know
a smartphone.
if your systems have a mandatory.
So you answer that question. The question was, do we have an automated notification system? In Aqua Texas, yes. In the contract operations, we don't today, but it's something that we're not opposed to looking at.
What is your system?
It's called Everbridge, and basically, customers have all their phone numbers, and when the acquisition goes through, you would be included in that. And then we can actually send out just individual streets. Water main break on one street, valve off here, valve off there, and we can send notices just to the people on that street, and not the whole subdivision, that they're out of water and be fixed in 24 hours or whatever. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, we love it too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's better to give people information and to have it like you were talking about, Matt, and then have blanks in people's heads.
Just like last year, we lost water,
Yeah.
but it was, didn't know when we got it back.
So those things, we will do our best to probably know, we will do our best to notify you. But Terry is going to be the person on the phone that can probably tell you. We're going to have an answering service for after hours like you've got today as well. And Joseph will be picking up the after hours calls. Yes?
I had a question regarding the meters, but in a different way. The chairman of the board wouldn't give us an answer regarding how they've stopped giving out meters. So what does that mean? Does that mean for new development that's already been approved and planned? Or what is that about? And how many are not being given out?
Joseph, what
I stopped all meter give out, 100%.
Could you
Done.
explain a meter give out?
So anybody that hadn't paid for a meter is not getting a meter at all.
Are they gonna get direct connected then, with no meter?
No.
Are they gonna get connected without a meter?
No, they can't.
No,
They
not at
can't.
this point right
The
now,
meter
no.
is the connection.
I'm not letting anybody get any hydrant meters, and nobody's getting regular meters, and that's,
New development, are we talking
we're
about
not
for new
even, we're not
development?
even watering the lines right now.
Okay.
We're not even letting them pressure up, and that's due to the board, that's their call. So,
Right,
we
but
don't
they can
have.
change their mind at any time.
They can.
Let me fill in a little bit. New developments, there'll be no new meters. Lots where they want a meter and they haven't paid for it yet, not gonna get one until we get past this. So that's what we're talking about.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
understand.
Right. If a customer has a house, has a meter, and it's been vacant for 2 years and somebody moves in, yeah, we're gonna turn that on. Even if the meter has been pulled, and we have evidence that there used to be a meter there, and they paid a tap fee 2 years ago, we will put a meter back in there. That's not a new meter, that's replacing the existing system.
Thank you.
Have you notified the city of McLendon-Chisholm and Rockwall County of that action?
The no new taps?
Yes, have you
That's
notified
a
the
board
city of
action.
McLendon-Chisholm?
That's basically a
and Rockwall
moratorium.
County?
No, the board needs.
The board didn't answer me.
We have not, Aqua has not.
Have they?
No, he doesn't know.
The, different question. The meter swaps, do they require coordination with homeowners, and if so, what's the communication plan with that?
Yes, we will get, when we get to that point, So we'll send out letters to everybody as a communication that we have a contractor, we haven't got there yet, obviously. We have a contractor going to be going through your neighborhood, changing out your meter.
Will that require a pause in water for X amount of time, 30 minutes, whatever it may be?
Yep, hopefully,
and so
hopefully
there will be advanced communication.
Yes, there will be. So we're not going to surprise that one. Whoops. Not going to surprise that on you, no. We've done 100,000 meter change outs in cases.
How long does it take to swap out a meter?
If it's unbuckle, pull it out, put in 2 new washers, push it apart a little bit to get the new meter in, it should be done in an hour.
Sir.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Sir.
I'm sorry?
Why do you have to switch out the meters?
We're going to a remote reading type meter, and have that function and have it increase the signal to say how to go in every month and make it read. Huh? Yeah. It's a reduction. The district, sorry, the Water Supply Corporation is going to pay for that initially. They intended that that's included in the act. Yes, sir.
These new meters that you're putting in, who actually owns those? Is that RCH? Aqua? So if this deal falls through, will RCH have to reimburse Aqua for all of these meters that are being put in?
The district, sorry, the Water Supply Corporation is purchasing the meters, they will own them.
Okay.
What you're talking about, the transition of the ownership of won't occur until the asset purchase.
I think you answered the question that RCH owns it, so you have no economic interest in any of these meters.
But you had mentioned that a contractor was going to be working with a contractor to replace them. So is that the contractor cost that you guys would eat at that point, or is that?
No, it's going to be paid for by the Water Supply Corporation too. And we haven't even put out the request for proposal, request for bids yet.
So for EMF sensitive people, electric companies allow you to opt out of their smart meters. What's the opt out policy on smart meters for Aqua?
For Aqua, there's none. The Water Supply Corporation, I don't believe there's any either. I don't believe. I haven't read or seen anything.
Are these meters going to have the capability for us to be able to control usage or like set limits that we're notified if we're getting to a certain point?
No.
You're not?
These are just remote read functions.
Just for the company to read?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, you can always go out in the meter box and read your own meter.
Yeah.
It's still a regular meter with a dial, a digital dial that you can read. Yeah. It's not like there's a mystery of what your meter read's going to be. You can
Well, if it's 2023.
I know.
We don't know what's going to happen.
All right. Yes, sir.
Do the automatic meters that you are going to put in have any remote capacity to limit or shut off water?
No. We still have to send a lady out to turn the valve to turn the water on. It's still a manual disconnect type function, manual reconnect function. Yes.
I have a question about where we stand now on the tanks. How much water's in the tanks? What does usage look like? If all we all did was water our slabs, is that okay? And, you know, we're on stage 2, we're supposed to be able to water, but we're also the same RCH spot says no watering at all.
Which is stage 5.
It's as clear as mud. Where do we stand on water right now?
You want to? Joseph, okay.
That's a board question.
My preference from operations is y'all should be on the same side. There is no way we can keep up with everybody continuing to water right now. What we're trying to do is go out and meet board members in each subdivision and talk to them so that they can help us push that. Without help from the boards or the little communities, y'all preaching this to everybody, we are getting really, really low in operations.
So how long is it going to be before we get a boil water notice like we got last year?
I'm fighting the tank at 2:30 in the morning on days. I got 4 kids, my wife gets upset when she has to handle them without this, but I'm coming up here fighting it and it's a switches right now. And if people don't stop watering, it might become an issue.
So here's the problem. I'm with the lady down here who said, I don't do social media, but I do get on the RCH's website, the next message is there about what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do, and everything else. We how do you come to a meeting and hear it through the grapevine, or in a screenshot from somebody else?
That customer list I just mentioned, that's gonna facilitate you getting a notice, if you haven't already got it.
Now or if you take over?
Now.
We are already working with the board with the restrictions, and our environmental compliance manager is working to send those letters out. That's already in.
Daryl, we need to
Wrap up.
start wrapping up. You got
Thank-
any words of questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got, we have one other item on the agenda, as been discussed, some upgrades on the pump station, the SCADA, and then also some meters. And so I've now got a couple of quotes there, and
I can't hear you.
so we'd like to have, like to have a motion to spend up to $1.5 million on these upgrades. This will include all the stuff that was talked about today. This will be RCH's, RCH will make making the payments for the materials as well as the installation. It will be RCH owned, and this will have zero rate impact to the numbers. So these are basic recommendations, again, as Aqua's come in and looked at the system of things that we want to add to help make the system, just to make it more resilient. Any?
I've got a question. Could John, is Joseph,
Joseph?
Could he elaborate on what these proposed upgrades are? I know we're talking about restrictors. Is that one of them? What exactly, what upgrades are we talking about?
I can't hear you.
So, specific upgrades, Joseph.
The upgrades we're looking at right now are very minimal. It's just trying to get some SCADA installed, and I gave the quote to David. Right now, that's the only upgrade I've got other than the meter tank out. And that's just so that we can operate everything and not have to be on site. We'll be able to view everything at all times.
And he asked if restrictors were included.
No.
Did you hear that? He said restrictors are not included.
The parts
Pardon me?
No, you're good. I was making sure he asked that question, and I don't think he was talking to you.
Yeah, so embedded in this, so we got the SCADA, we got the restrictors, we got the.
No restrictors.
No restrictors.
In the numbers that I'm asking for approval, they are. So that $1.5 million includes all these different things. We've got the meters, we have the SCADA, we have the restrictors, and those improvements.
How many meters?
It's for all of them.
Which is 2,600, what you said.
2,600 meters is about what we have.
Where are you getting the
So-
money from? If they're billing.
So we, all right. Any other discussion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, got a motion. A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposed? I do not have a need for exec session. With that, it is 5:38, and we'll call this meeting to